So the day after Mardi Gras, Kansas City holds its seemingly annual tradition of a Chiefs championship parade. Chiefs celebrate Super Bowl number 3 in the Patrick Mahomes era with their parade in Kansas City today. And I noticed, as we continue to discuss the fallout from the Super Bowl, that literally everybody and their mama watch. Literally, not hyperbole.
That's right.
Greatest, most viewed telecast ever. I saw where the 49ers are the preseason favorites, the betting favorites. You're the betting man here. The 49ers are the betting favorites. So we talked about this going into the Super Bowl right after the conference. We talked about this right after the conference championship games when the Chiefs went into Super Bowl 58 as underdogs. And you and I both were like, why? Right? Even though the Niners have been the better team in the regular season, given who the Chiefs are and what they've done in the playoffs and where they'd won in the playoffs, as in Buffalo and Baltimore, why? And it went to overtime, but still. But then I see this shit and I'm like, guys, no. Let's not start this underdog narrative this soon, because by definition, they're now underdogs. Because even if they're second to one team in terms of Super Bowl odds, that makes them underdogs, at least compared to the 49ers. And it's like, no, as for me and my house, Michael, we will serve the Chiefs. Okay, from here on out, I don't care if Kansas City starts 0-8. If Kansas City starts 0-8 next year, I will still believe in them to finish 9-8, find a way to get into the playoffs, and win next year's Super Bowl. Kansas City, the Chiefs are the Super Bowl favorites in perpetuity. Indefinitely until Patrick Mahomes decides he's not playing anymore. Kansas City should be the rightful favorite, the betting favorite, the consensus favorite, whatever you want, the power ranking number 1, it needs to be Kansas City. And I will not fall for that particular banana in the tailpipe ever again. I'm telling you hold me to this. Hold me to this. God willing, the creek don't rise, and we are doing this show, or I am doing this show, come August of 2024. Do not let me pick another team to win the Super Bowl. Don't let me do it. Roll this back in case I forget that I said I will never pick against the Chiefs. And picking somebody else is picking against the Chiefs. Chiefs on the field, the Chiefs. Okay? Chiefs on the 72 Dolphins, the Chiefs.
The Chiefs.
Chiefs on Tom Brady's Patriots, the Chiefs. Hail to the Chiefs. I will, they should be the favorites. I will not doubt this team again. I will not doubt this team again.
Well, thank you. Well, Michael, thank you for giving us a beautiful, in case you missed it, we will play this back in July or August. It will be right here, and you have framed it beautifully. And by the way, can we bring that chart back up? We can bring that chart back up with the odds of the Super Bowl, the betting favorites. And I like the way you said it, from Joshua. Hey, if you're going to serve the Ravens, serve the Ravens. If you're going to serve the Eagles, serve the Eagles. As for me and my house, we will serve the Kansas City Chiefs. But look at the other ones in the NFC. What's going on with the odds? The odds makers say it's 49ers and everybody else is so far behind. Look at our Lions at plus 1,200. Then you have to go all the way down to the Eagles. The Packers played them very well. Yeah. The Packers and Lions played them very well at their place. Mm-hmm. And the Packers are plus 2,000. So, and they're a young team. Both of these Lions and Packers, young teams, were not intimidated by the 49ers, just didn't make the plays necessary. But it's not like
that's a strong
I look at the 49ers on some other plane compared to everybody else in the NFC. And they just forgot about the Eagles.
That's a good observation. That's a
really good observation.
Yeah. So, no, that's fair. That's fair. They didn't run roughshod through the rest of the conference. But
I would say this.
Yeah.
I'll say this, Mike. Vegas really likes Kansas City, even though Kansas City has the second best odds. Because to get to 3 Super Bowls, and you always talk about your Buffalo Bills. What an accomplishment to get to 4 straight. And they didn't win one, but to get to 4 straight Super Bowls is hard. So to say Kansas City is going to get back for the 4th time in 6 years, right? That's what it would be. Would that be 4? No, actually, would it be 5 and 6?
Yeah, because they've been to 4.
Would that be 5 Super Bowls?
5. It'd be 5 and 7. Because they've been to 4.
5 and 7. That's right.
Yeah,
5
they've
and
been
7.
to 4.
5 and 7. So to get back to the 5th Super Bowl in 7 years in their 3rd straight, and to win 3 straight, which nobody's ever done, and look at those odds. So those odds are actually pretty good when you think about what a Super Bowl victory would represent for Kansas City. Vegas really likes them. They don't like them enough to say they're the standalone favorite, but given the historical challenges they'll face, and you think about the salary cap. I know some teams say, "Oh, we can always play games with the salary cap," but they really have to make some decisions. Chris Jones, L'Jarius Sneed is fantastic. Like, those guys got to get paid. You already paid Patrick Mahomes. You've got some maneuvering. You've got some administrating to do before you get back to the Super Bowl.
No, actually, I'm sorry. I misspoke. You would be right. You'd be right. Because it would be... No, I misspoke. It'd be right. Yeah. What did you say? You said 5 and 6. Yeah, I'm sorry. It'd be right. The only year they didn't go was the Cincinnati year. Yeah, it would be 5 and 6.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Only year they didn't go was the Cincinnati year. That's right. Yeah, you were right the first time. Why did I say 5 and 6?
All right, think about that.
Yeah, you were right the first time. Yeah, you were right the first time. Yeah, because it was San Francisco, Tampa, then the gap year, then Philadelphia,
the gap year.
and then San Francisco
we took a gap
again.
year.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's right. 5 and 6. Do you remember? So it's been 20 years since a back-to-back champion. Do you remember feeling so confident about the Patriots after 2004? Because as hard as it is, we talked about this Monday. Yeah, right. Because as hard as it is to get there, let alone get back, let alone go back-to-back, or go 3 years in a row, as we're projecting. I feel like it's almost a foregone conclusion. And I know that's crazy because shit happens, right? And they got a lot of other good teams in the AFC. And I'm not taking it for granted how routine the Chiefs have made this. But it just feels like, well, of course they're going to be back. Patrick Mahomes is 28. Their defense was the youngest defense in the league and one of the best in the league. Steve Spagnuolo didn't leave. Hell, they may get Eric Bieniemy back. Eric Bieniemy may come back and rejoin Andy Reid and Matt Nagy. I mean, nothing about this team. Yes, they have some financial decisions to make.
Yeah.
But they're so well run and they're so young in many spots, and so nothing about this team suggests they got this. This was the end. This was the last dance. This didn't feel. I feel like Patrick Mahomes in the moment, even though that was more bravado than anything. I think it was also prophetic. He was like, "Yeah, it's a dynasty, but it's the beginning of a dynasty. We're not done." I don't think that was just confidence. He's speaking facts. Not to say that Joe Burrow can't come back from injury and beat Patrick Mahomes again. I've said before, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, it's not that they can't, they haven't. Now, maybe they won't in the era of Patrick Mahomes, there's a subtle difference there. There's a nuanced difference there, but I don't think that they're somehow genetically predisposed to coming up short. So somebody could beat Kansas City. Somebody could be. You're welcome. The chicken. Somebody could beat Kansas City. It just feels like a long shot to me. In terms of talking about odds, feels like a long shot that somebody knocks this team off, given the way they're constructed, and given how greedy 15 is about to get.
All right. Well, okay. A couple things there. So you asked me about the Patriots in their pursuit for 3 in a row, and I remember talking to Teddy Bruschi about this. Former Patriots linebacker. Teddy Bruschi's having a conversation with Tom Brady. They are on Robert Kraft's private jet. They're going somewhere. I can't remember. You know, somehow a Pro Bowl factors in here, but that doesn't make sense because they made a Super Bowl. Anyway, they were on a private jet. It was Teddy and Tom Brady, and they talked about winning three Super Bowls in a row. How nobody had done it, and this is a goal, and this is what we're going to do. And shortly after that, Drewski had a stroke. So that's where Drewski had the stroke, and he thought his career was over. And we know he retired, and he unretired, and he actually came back and resumed his career for another 3 or 4 years.
Right.
So what stopped them? What stopped them from winning 3 Super Bowls in a row? Turnovers. They won a wild card game against Jacksonville. They went to Denver, the Jake Plummer Broncos. They went to Denver, and they had 5 turnovers. And they lost their first playoff. They had a 10-game winning streak in the playoffs. That's just nuts. They had a 10-game
Is that the Ben Watson Champ Bailey game? Is that that game?
That's the game. That's the game.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Chased them down. They didn't have cameras at that point, so I think they spotted the ball at the 1, or it gave Champ a touchdown, something like that. They got it wrong. He knocked it out of the end zone. Anyway, I bring that up, especially the 5 turnovers, because when we talk about, I love the way you say, hey, tell him I was in the age of Achilles, the age of Mahomes. Yeah, but some of these teams, it's not a mystery. He's great. Mahomes is great. Brady was great. Jordan was great. But there are opportunities for other teams. Brady did lose 3 Super Bowls. He lost 3.
He did. He absolutely
lost 2 to
did.
Eli.
As
he lost 1 to Nick
the
Foles.
Patriots were, and to say nothing of the fact that were any of the Patriots Super Bowl victories so lopsided that it was like, oh, this other team didn't belong on the same field with them. Like the first 3 were all famously by 3 points. You know what their
biggest
3 were.
You know what their biggest Super Bowl win was?
The biggest comeback in history against Atlanta.
That was their biggest win.
When the Rams won? Oh, it was Atlanta. Okay,
no.
it was the 6 points against Atlanta. Yeah, okay.
No, Atlanta.
Yeah.
No, you're right. No, the Rams was.
Right?
But before that,
the Rams won.
The Rams was. But when they got to number 5, when they won number 5, which was the 28-3, they win that. We all know down by 25. They win it in overtime, and that was their biggest Super Bowl victory. At that point, that was their largest win.
No, but you're right. The 3 losses.
Yeah,
it goes to show just how, even getting there, but just that last little step can be hard. But I feel as confident about the Chiefs as you can possibly feel in an age of parity, supposed parity.
Here's the other thing, and it sounds like excuses because look, Kansas City, San Francisco, I was there. I was just an observer, really enjoying it. So it didn't really matter to me who won that game. But it sounds like, what I'm about to say sounds like something a bitter fan would say. But I saw Tom Brady win 2 conference championship games in the AFC. 2 conference championship games where he threw 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
And they won. So if you're the other team, you're like, hey, I know that's Tom Brady. I respect him. The dude gave you 3 interceptions in a conference championship game, and you let him win. It's not always inevitable as we make it out to be. It's not always as complex as we make it out to be. You've got to be, if Tom Brady gives you 1 interception in a conference championship game, damn it, you better do something with it. And if you don't, you can't say, oh, well, it's Tom Brady. No, it's you.
Right.
You're the problem.
So some foregone conclusion. That is I don't know if you did this intentionally, but that is a perfect segue. That provides a perfect segue. We'll get back to the Patriots and their dynasty in a second because I do want to ask you some questions about that because that's in the news. But, okay, you talked about opportunities. Obviously, the Niners had an opportunity to win, multiple opportunities to win. They had a double-digit lead, game-winning overtime, had the lead in overtime. I don't mean to because we talked about this, it felt like ad nauseum on Monday morning, but I didn't realize the legs that this story, even when I started Monday's program, ranting and raving about the fact that was a storyline, I didn't realize how much of a storyline Kyle Shanahan's decision to take the ball in overtime was going to be over the ensuing 48 hours since you and I were last here on Monday morning. It's Wednesday morning. Like, are y'all for real? Are y'all for real? Are people for real when it comes to...
And you know you want to say something else, too. You know you want to say something else.
No, I mean,
yeah.
This take is so bad. This is so misguided. It's so bad. It's so convenient. It's so short-sighted and hindsighted at the same time. It's just so results-oriented. Like, what don't y'all understand? I feel like I'm talking to my children. What part of Patrick Mahomes is going to get the ball either way do y'all not understand? Like,
right.
The amount of assumptions, the amount of ifs, ands, and buts associated with the notion that it was so obviously a mistake by Kyle Shanahan to take the ball first, it incenses me. Like, it's like, do you know why they went for it on 4th down from the 34-yard line? Not because they were playing 4-down football, because they had to.
They had to.
They had to go for it. Because if they didn't, the game would have been over because the Niners had the lead. Not because the Niners took the ball first and that gave them, because they knew what they needed. Yeah, and the Niners knew what they needed to not allow, which was a touchdown as well. Like, this is what happens when people try really hard to be smart. When they trip over themselves to be like, oh my gosh, well, not about to sound like Charles Barkley. Take them analytics and stick them where the sun don't shine. Like, there was no, look, okay, there's a difference between a wrong decision and a decision not turning out in your favor. This was the latter.
Right.
Because, as we talked about on Monday, for those that may have missed it, that would probably be a lot of people. Oh, sorry, it was too easy. But, like, we talked about this on Monday. Like, this was not a new game from the start. Like, the defense had just gotten off the field. I'm telling you, if they had put Patrick Mahomes back on the field to start overtime, you know what would have happened, Michael? The same thing that happened in the second possession. They'd have scored a touchdown. They'd have found a way to score a touchdown. They'd have probably been aggressive. And this idea that the Chiefs were somehow so much more prepared and they knew the rules, and if the Chiefs had gotten the ball, second and had to match a touchdown, well, they'd have gone for 2. Well, that sounds great when they're not actually having to go for 2. Like, all of this stuff is such we're just pulling shit out of our ass in order to shit on Kyle Shanahan. And thank you, Kyle Juszczyk, who might watch Brother from Another, because I said the same thing on Monday, that there's a Kyle Shanahan agenda at play that, Michael, even you have to acknowledge here. Kyle Shanahan gets more shit for 28-3 than Dan Quinn does. Kyle Shanahan wears 28-3 more than the head coach or the MVP quarterback in Matt Ryan did.
Or the quarterback.
Either one of them.
Who fumbled.
Yes.
Who fumbled.
Right.
Who fumbled? Who kept them who allowed them to stay in the game? MVP quarterback and Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn's name never comes up.
23 compared. Never.
Dan Quinn, just as an aside, his superpower is invisibility. Because he gets away with a lot of ish. He really does. This dude just got a job in Washington, and we're like, hey, how does Mike McCarthy keep his job? Dan Quinn got a new job, and they gave up 50 points. Almost damn near 50 points in the playoff game. He's the head coach of 28-3. You know what he did? You know what he had the power to do? Same thing Kyle Shanahan did, and I brought it up on Monday. Well, Kyle Shanahan, when he heard a defense, Steve Wilkes was going to call a defense that he didn't like. You know what he did? Timeout. Super Bowl. We ain't doing that, Steve. Sorry, bruh. This is on my watch. We ain't doing that. So you mean that Dan Quinn, when all they had to do was run the ball, Dan Quinn, the head coach, couldn't say, hey, Kyle, I'm the head coach. We running the ball.
Right.
I don't like that call. We running the ball.
Right.
All we got to do is run the ball, kick a field goal. We go up 11 points. That's 3 possessions. They ain't got time.
Or
we win the game.
The head coach who has a defensive background. Like, yes, There's complimentary football. Kyle Shanahan could have run the ball more than he did. Okay, in the Patriots Super Bowl, yes, that's been a thing with Kyle Shanahan. I get it. But okay, like Dan Quinn's defense, the one that gave up the 28-3 lead. Like, what are we talking about? To the greatest quarterback of all time. So in continuing with this Kyle Shanahan thing, it's like, oh, we crap on Jimmy Garoppolo, but don't give credit to Kyle Shanahan for getting to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. And it's as if Kyle Shanahan was the one that overthrew Emmanuel Sanders. Okay, yes, he has been he can't win the big one. Again, how many times have we said that about people only for them to win the big one? But there is no shame. Yeah. I'm sorry. There is no shame in being a co-star in the stories of arguably the two greatest quarterbacks ever. Yes, he has blown leads because it's Tom Brady, because it's Patrick Mahomes, not because he is genetically predisposed to choking. Are there decisions that you can critique in hindsight? Yes, there are. The overtime decision, I'm sorry. I will die on this hill. It is not one of them. It is not. Because you are assuming that the Chiefs don't score a touchdown in the first possession. You're assuming, B, that Brock Purdy, who none of y'all seem to respect, would have gone down the field and matched Patrick Mahomes. Okay? You're assuming so many things. Or you're assuming that because the 49ers that claim they weren't familiar about the overtime rules, what does it matter? Your job is to go out there and execute, which they did not on offense or defense in overtime. On offense, they had to settle for a field goal. Hell, maybe he should have gone for it on fourth down in the red zone. I don't know. Maybe he should have in hindsight. Defensively, on that fourth down or any ensuing play, they could have stopped Kansas City. They didn't. That's what the game came down to, not some analytics-driven decision. And I love analytics, but in this case, they pissed me off. Not some decision, some arbitrary. It's arbitrary. It is not ironclad that he should have kicked the ball off or that you give the other team the ball first. It's not. It's not. But because it played out the way it did, everybody's conveniently piling on Kyle Shanahan, who, by the way, I ain't said 2 words to Kyle Shanahan, but I feel like it's my job at this point to keep up for Kyle Shanahan. Because it's some bullshit. This is bullshit. Everything these people are saying, Michael, is bullshit. Okay? Everything they're saying is bullshit.
Here's the problem,
come on. This is common sense.
I'm going to tell you the problem.
It should be.
It is common sense. There are 2 problems here. There are 2 problems. So, this is surprising that I'm on Team Kyle Shanahan here. I'm on Team Shanahan. Me. All right.
Thank you.
But
because you're on the side of right. You're on the side of logic.
But there are 2 mistakes. There are 2 mistakes that he made that have taken people down a side road. Kyle, keep the car on the road. If you keep the car on the road, we ain't going to have these problems. There are 2 problems. One he created, one his players created. He ain't have to say analytics. Why you bring up analytics? Just say, we felt comfortable taking the ball first. That was the right move. I like what we had. We had a nice drive, and it stalled out. Unfortunately, we couldn't close there.
Said the opposite.
And so, I know,
but analytics is right.
He shouldn't have brought it up.
No, you're right.
He mentioned the word analytics, which opened the door, which opened the portal. You got to close that portal. Come on, man. We need Doctor Strange. Close up that portal. Because he opened it, and then all hell broke loose. That's one. So it became an analytics conversation, and analytics doesn't know anything about Patrick Mahomes, and can analytics tell you, okay, here we go. I got you. We're going down this road. And the second thing, this is damning. This is damning in court. Man, why your players come out and say they ain't know the rules? Oh, damn. Why your players come out and say that? It had nothing to do with not scoring a touchdown.
Exactly. I know, does it matter?
But once again, it just muddies. It does matter in this sense. It muddies the conversation.
If it's a narrative, it fits a narrative.
It just muddies it up.
If you want to find reasons, like again, this wasn't Benedict Cumberbatch's Sherlock Holmes. This was Robert Downey's Sherlock Holmes. People are finding facts to suit theories instead of creating theories to suit facts. And if you want to if you are on the side of Kyle Shanahan's a choker, Kyle Shanahan is overrated, Kyle Shanahan's a Nepo baby, Kyle Shanahan can't win the big one, if that's who, or the 49ers get on my nerves, they're full of excuses, if you're on that side, then oh my God, you are going to you're going to dive head first on the idea. Yeah, okay. On the idea of like, oh, see, they weren't prepared. They didn't discuss what the overtime rules going as far back in training camp. This is what separates the Chiefs from the 49ers, is they were discussing overtime in the Super Bowl way back in training camp. Hey, dog, your job is to go out there and do your job and run the plays I call. Okay? You got Niners offensive linemen beefing on social media. Why? Because Chris Jones came unblocked and blew up the play that would have been a touchdown that they got the ball in overtime thinking they were going to score. Like, nobody, regardless of whether you know the rules, nobody should go out on the first possession and be like, you know what, all we need is a field goal here. You're going out trying to score a touchdown. They all know that a touchdown is the idea there. They know that. They know a field goal doesn't win it. They should all know that by now. Whether they knew that, they were guaranteed a possession, because it was a moot point anyway, because the only adjustment is that a touchdown doesn't win the game. So this is only a conversation if the Niners go out in the first possession, score a touchdown, and then just decide to relax and say, oh, we're done, and walk off the field while the Chiefs get the ball. Otherwise,
or they celebrate
once a field goal was right.
Like they won.
Yes.
They're
they
like,
start to walk off. If they had a shower Kyle Shanahan with Gatorade after they scored this hypothetical touchdown, then we're talking about not knowing the rules. Under these circumstances, once they went back on the field on defense, they knew they couldn't give up a touchdown. That's it. So what are we talking about? What we're talking about is people just don't like Kyle Shanahan for some reason, and I can't figure out why.
Yeah, well, it's some of the stuff that you mentioned. It's like, his dad was in the game, and then he had. But Kyle Shanahan, and in all seriousness, Mike, I like the San Francisco storyline because it's entertaining for the thing we got going here. Like you say, you don't root against anybody, you root against me. So I root against you too, and it's all love, brother. It's all love.
As you should.
So
as you should.
San Francisco, I told you the story yesterday. Michael Silver, known him for a long time, used to work for Sports Illustrated. He writes in the San Francisco Chronicle that the 49ers have built the second best team in the NFL. That's straight up. He wrote that. They built the second best team in the NFL the last 5 years. Yeah! Yeah! Keep that going. I love that.
I mean,
good for you, Mike Silver. Good for you, Niners.
If it's about participation trophies, they do have a lot of those because they always participating in the big games. To Kyle Shanahan's point, they NFC Championship games, Super Bowl. They
have the second best franchise, but the best. You might agree with me. The best uniforms. They look the cleanest, best uniforms in the league. Ooh, that color scheme is impeccable. That look. You ain't feeling that. Okay, all right.
No, I'm just saying. Okay. I'm so pissed off. I'm so pissed off that people are still talking about it to the point where I felt the need to still talk about it, even though I thought we emptied the clip on that whole thing on Monday. Well, I'm like, yo, y'all still blaming.
We emptied it now.
Yeah, I think we are. Okay. But no, I want to ask about the Patriots because one of the things I got to watch this weekend. So there's this 10-part Dynasty, 10-part series coming out called The Dynasty on Apple TV.
The Dynasty.
Right? So are you in it? I mean, I'm talking to you like
I am.
Yeah, of course you are.
I'm in it.
You literally, you are. So you're like the J.A. Adonde. You're to this what J.A. Adonde was to The Last Dance. Right? Like,
something like that.
Are you going to be the first voice we hear? Yeah.
Not the first voice.
Carry it? You going to carry it?
No. not the first voice in there. But, yeah, this is this 10-part series, and I think, it's hard to separate, and you'll have to tell me because, being here, being in New England and seeing it from start to finish, there's a lot of stuff that I know, and a few things in there are a few eye-opening things that are like, oh, okay.
That's what I was going to ask you. At this point,
I knew the story.
You've written the books on the Patriots. What is untold at this point?
a couple of things. I will say this without any spoilers. As you get toward the latter episodes, like, you get to that second half, like 7, 8, 9, now we started talking about the breakup. And it always, it's whether in football or life, you start talking about divorce and drama. He said, the whole thing, well, this is my perspective. This is my perspective. Just the tension that started to develop between Brady and Belichick and Robert Kraft in the middle and some of the decisions that he had to make. There were some statements made by people involved that surprised me. And not just from Brady and not just from Kraft, but even some players. Some players spoke up. And I also want to mention not just the divorce, but in 2016, when Donald Trump is running for president and Tom Brady has a Make America Great Again hat in his locker, and Bill Belichick writes a letter that Trump reads in New Hampshire, and Robert Kraft is friendly, and these players are like, oh, what? I thought it was all about, hey, forget about your personal needs, your personal agenda. It's all about the team. So there are some statements from players about that time that are really interesting. So it's worth their time for sure.
I read a quote from Brady where he said he wasn't trying to go back to the Patriots regardless of the money. Like, it felt like it was always about the money. Well, which, they go hand in hand.
I don't believe.
They go,
and I know
they
he
go
said
hand
that.
in
I don't
hand.
believe it.
Okay. Well, just so people, again, not to spoil it, but it's like, hey, Belichick didn't want to pay him what he got from Tampa, which at the time was still below market value, if I'm not mistaken, like 2 years, $50 million or whatever. And Belichick didn't want to pay him that because Belichick thought he was done. So, I mean, they go hand in hand in terms of, like, how Belichick felt about Brady as a player. But I didn't realize the amount of resentment that had built up. I mean, I knew they'd gotten kind of tired of each other, but not like Ward and Roses tired of each other.
Oh, it was bad.
They were like, like it was toxic, as the kids like to say nowadays, where he just didn't want to be around dude. He was trying to get up out of there. That was fascinating.
I still don't believe that.
I don't believe you.
Tom Brady wanted the Drew Brees. He wanted the Drew Brees contract. You know what? I don't believe you.
I don't believe you.
Can't say the next part.
Bam,
he wanted a 2-year, $50 million. Put it in a pocket. Pay the bill. He wanted a 2-year, $50 million deal. And the Patriots wouldn't give it to him. Dude was asking for a contract. So if Bill Belichick had come in and said, all right, Tom, you know what, man? Forget about that 2-year 50. How about three for 75? I mean, I don't know. I was tripping. 3 for 75. $60 million guaranteed at those 75. You're our guy. Come on. You're Tom Brady. He stays. I don't care what he says. Yes, he wanted to stay. He wanted to stay. And he had a tantrum. And that sounds like I'm blaming him, but I'm not. But he did. He had an adult tantrum. We all have had them. I've had many of them in the last few years. Adult temper tantrum.
I had one 5 minutes ago.
So he had one. Yeah. He had one when they wouldn't sign him. So he got pissed off. He put his house on the market. He started doing all kinds of stuff that would annoy Belichick because he was out. Start cussing at his coaches. He wanted to stay.
Not coming to training camp.
He's heartbroken.
Wasn't that the same when he wasn't coming to training camp, when he was taking time off?
Yep.
Same thing? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll check it out. I think it's 2 episodes every Friday, so it is kind of like a Last Dance. 2 episodes every Friday, and I'm sure we'll unpack it. But I'm looking forward to seeing your contribution to this project. But yeah, I mean, it's a gift that keeps on giving, and I can only imagine the untold stories that are taking place in real time in Kansas City. Like one day we're gonna have a Kansas City Chiefs documentary. Like, oh damn, like who knew? But not quite, because there's not the same amount of controversy, or it doesn't feel like the Chiefs have reached, the die hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain stage. Like I don't know that the Chiefs have reached the point where either A, people hate them, or B, are sick of them winning. I don't know. Maybe there are people that are tired of the Chiefs winning. Maybe. I'm not. I'm
Well,
not.
I'm not either.
I think they're more likable. I think they're more likable than their dynastic predecessors in New England.
Oh, no question, because there's no. Also, let's face it, elephant in the room.
There's no
multiple
Spygate.
elephants in the room.
Yeah,
No
there's
scandals.
Gates.
2 scandals.
right. There's
They ain't lose
Gates
no
with
first
this
round
team.
picks.
Yeah. There's a Gates barbecue,
They lose it.
but there's no Gates.
Yeah. There's a ooh.
You like that? I like that.
I do.
That was more on the corny side.
No, I like that.
I
like it.
That was clever, but if I may say so, that was more on the corny side. That was more corny than clever.
But I'll tell you, it's not corny. And one more thing.
45% corny. Yeah.
One more thing. You'll be entertained by the contributions of Ty Law, you can imagine, Ty Law and Randy Moss, just for comic relief. Ty Law and Randy Moss will you'll get some laughs out of those.
Okay. All right, we got a theme going here. We are talking dynasties. Feels like dynasties are the topic du jour, whether it's the Chiefs, whether it's the Patriots, the Niners participation dynasty. Let's take a break. We're gonna switch sports and talk about dynasties colliding in the NBA, or nearly colliding in the NBA. Thankfully, we avoided this catastrophe. Oh man, that would have been something, to say the least.
I'll give y'all something funny that I told my people, because I'm fairly candid. The two situations kind of felt like this, right? Let's say you were a kid and you got your ass whooped by the bully. Dallas would have been like your mama being like, it's okay, baby, don't worry about it. Lakers are like, your dad, nah, you better go out there and fight till you win. You feel me? And I just felt like that was what I needed at the time. You feel me? So I'm a big believer in kind of doing what you need to do at whatever time it is, and so that's how I felt about it.
That was one of the best analogies I've heard in a long time. That was Spencer Dinwiddie on his decision to sign with the Lakers instead of going back to the Mavericks, who he was obviously quite familiar. Like, I saw some people, like, they were kind of confused by that. I was like, that made perfect sense to me. Like, my man is saying, like, no, the easy, comfortable, familiar, low-hanging fruit would have been to go back to comfy, cushy Dallas. Like, no, I want to do this the hard way. I want to go up the rough side of the mountain. I want to find my way with a different organization with, respectfully, even greater aspirations, traditionally speaking.
Yeah. No question.
And so, yeah, I mean, I was feeling that, because I mean, that's we've all been that. We've all been there, and we've been that. Like, I've been like that with my kids. I'm sure you've been like that with your kids. Like, sometimes we the ones gotta give them that push. Or sometimes our mamas were both. Because my mama,
right.
My mama would be the one to say that's okay. I never got punked, don't get it twisted. But my mom would be the one to say that's okay. But she'd also be the one to say, nah, like, you know what? Like, you can't take the easy route all the time. Like, you can't sometimes you gotta be uncomfortable. You gotta be comfortable being uncomfortable. So I got it. Yeah. It resonated with me. And by the way,
that's the only thing that was
6 points and 7 assists off the bench in his debut in the Lakers' victory over the Pistons last night. You were saying.
That's the only thing that was a little bit off in the analogy. Well, no, this mom. Mama ain't saying it's okay. No, she ain't saying that.
Yeah.
Okay,
not all the time.
right.
Yeah.
So, like, hey, dad comes in and says, no. Mom, as you said, mom was both for a lot of us.
Yeah. Sometimes, yeah. For a lot of us. Yes.
Depending on the occasion. I remember mom saying, oh, no. You better get back out there. The neighborhood bully named Skeeter. I remember Skeeter trying to scare everybody. She said, you better go out there and face Skeeter. He don't run this neighborhood. We ain't going nowhere. You better go deal with Skeeter.
I don't know that there's a Skeeter anywhere that runs any neighborhood. If your nickname is Skeeter,
Not Skeeter. Skeeter.
That's
Skeeter.
Oh, Skeeter. Oh,
Skeeter.
no.
Not Skeeter.
Okay.
He probably should have been Skeeter. But, hey, man, it's a black neighborhood. Skeeter. Come on.
No, but I mean, regardless of the pronunciation involved,
right.
Skeeter does not, I'm not intimidated by a dude named Skeeter. Like, that feels like a name that was bestowed on him by other people. That doesn't seem like a name that he had by choice. So I'm trying to figure out why some dude named Skeeter was running your neighborhood.
Because you know why?
You know?
Because he was like
Skeeter don't sound the same as Debo. You know what I mean? Like that's just
right, exactly.
I'll tuck my chain when I hear Skeeter coming. You know?
His problem with Skeeter. He was like 15 in the 5th grade though. That's the problem.
Got it.
He was like
Got it.
He'd been held back a few times.
Withdrawn.
And he had some scars on him.
Withdrawn.
He had some scars.
Withdrawn.
Okay.
That was pre-reclass days. See, nowadays they call that reclassing.
Oh, is that what? He was.
That's what they call it now. Like it's common now. We're gonna reclass. Like
he ain't got,
it wasn't like that.
But you can't get reclassed that often. This ain't the Kansas City Chiefs. We ain't looking for 3 in a row with your reclassing. That happened to him a lot.
I apologize.
Anyway.
I apologize in advance for anybody that may have been offended by that commentary.
Sorry. We'll be better next time.
The Lakers. Okay. Oh, all right. So, all right. Listen, man. I threw up in my mouth when I saw this. This is from Woj and Ramona Shelburne.
Unbelievable.
Sources. Warriors may bid for LeBron James at trade deadline. The Warriors, this is after LeBron was putting, his little hourglass emoji tweets or whatever, expressing frustration in his LeBron way. The Warriors, and it's at the highest levels. This is Joe Lacob to Jeannie Buss. Like, the Warriors inquired about LeBron's availability. And they weren't alone. Daryl Morey, by the way, I don't understand why people just don't block Daryl Morey's number. Like apparently Daryl Morey just he be prank calling people, he calling everybody, yo. But the funniest line of the whole thing was when Morey called Pelinka to ask if LeBron was available, and Pelinka responded, "Was Joel Embiid available?"
Right.
Like in fantasy football, when somebody sends you an insulting offer, you are required to counter with a more insulting offer.
It'd be like, yo, get off the phone.
Why are we on the phone right now? Like, why are you calling me? But the Warriors, this was serious. I mean, this was like some serious back channel. So just to recap it in case y'all don't feel like reading, I'll do my best because read the whole thing. But apparently, Lacob went to Jeannie. Jeannie said, talk to Rich Paul if you want to take the temperature on LeBron James, which is kind of like borderline permission to seek a trade if you want type shit. But okay, talk to Rich Paul and see where LeBron is. But because Jeannie was like, hey, we don't want hostages, we want volunteers. Wants her players to be there,
right.
Which I respect that. Okay, so they go to Rich Paul. Rich Paul says, no, we're good. Draymond Green, out here trying to, another Kevin Durant recruiting situation, trying to recruit LeBron James. I mean, this is interesting stuff. Like, this is not just a cursory phone call. These were conversations that went nowhere, but the fact that these conversations took place, nonetheless, is fascinating and nauseating. Fascinating and nauseating at the same time. Like,
why nauseating?
That's why I would have had to draw the line. I would have had to draw the line there. Look, Chris Paul at this stage of his career is one thing. Like, no, I never thought I would see Chris Paul as a teammate of Steph Curry's in a Warriors uniform. Yeah, I mean, okay, like so much time has passed since they were at the same level. That day is dead. The idea of LeBron James as a teammate of Steph Curry's and Draymond Green's, man, like I don't. That's a part of the multiverse I don't want to touch. Like, no, thank you. Like, no, thank you. That would have turned me off in a way that no other. And I've never been one of these people that had a problem with players teaming up or taking control of their own destiny. And
especially, Especially this was not LeBron asking for that.
It was
he
not,
wasn't asking
but nonetheless,
he was being
exactly.
sought.
This was well. Let them tell it. Let them tell it. Like whenever I see stories like this, there's a story behind the story. Okay? So there's probably another version of this story in which somebody is doing this when it comes to the information that's being leaked out. There's some agendas at play here that I'm not qualified or educated enough or enlightened enough to truly unpack, but I don't think this story sees the light of day without certain people being okay with it. All right?
Okay.
Because so I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
I'm not being a conspiracy theorist. I'm just simply saying to say that LeBron's hands are nowhere near this, I don't know. Even if it's just for attention, even if it's just to say, hey, I got this option coming up this year. I don't know. Who knows why LeBron moves like he moves. But it's worked for him. But this would not have worked for me. I'm sure they could have coexisted. I'm sure it could have been, they would have found a way to share the court because that's what Steph does. That's what LeBron does. It's not even about but that just feels too NBA 2K-ish for me. That's just where it get that like when I read that I was like, oh, thank God that didn't happen. Thank God that was shut down because I'm not gonna go so far as to say that would have ruined the NBA for me. No, I'm not that old. I'm not yelling at clouds that loudly. I'm not telling everybody to get completely off my lawn. Just don't park your car on my lawn. And that's what this would have been for me. This would have been the NBA parking its car on this old man's lawn if LeBron James and Steph Curry would have been teammates come the trade deadline. I'm not ready for that because and mainly because it's one thing for somebody who has never done anything from a team standpoint, like a Damian Lillard, to say, you know what, I'm tired of doing this on my own. I'm going to link up with Giannis, who is the superior player, has won a championship. It's one thing for young LeBron, who was like, hey, it ain't happening for me in Cleveland right now. I got to go get my master's in Miami, and I'm going to go join Dwayne Wade's franchise, but it's going to be my team. Okay, that's different. It's one thing for Chris Paul to be like, you know what, I gave my best shot, and I've been traded, and I've been bought out, and now I'm just going to go sign with my former arch rival on my last days and my last legs to see if I can help extend this dynasty. That's all understandable. The idea of LeBron James still at, I'm not saying the peak of his powers, but still
pretty
damn
player, good.
Yes. Joining up with Steph, who's still at the peak of his powers. Like,
right.
No thank you. No thank you. So this was the basketball guys looking out for us. Fun?
It'd be fun, and it'd be fun, and it would.
That'd be effed up and foul.
It would. No,
who?
It would be fun. Because I'll tell you, what it would also, it would challenge people to get out of their little narrative, their very narrow narrative lanes, these little narrative silos, and now it's going to mess you up. Because if I'm not mistaken, how many championships has Steph Curry won in his career? 4, right?
Yeah.
How many championships has LeBron won in his career? 4. So they win together.
So what do you do if they win one together? Oh,
they win one together. Yeah, now they both have 5, and you get into that whole. Hey, they both got 5. They won number 5 together.
I feel like they should sign a prenuptial agreement. I feel like a prenuptial agreement.
Here's the other thing.
Like you had what you had in a relationship. I had what I had when I came in a relationship.
I want to expose people too. I like when people are exposed because I think everybody should play together in the NBA because when you don't have to deal with another player, you start finding holes that don't exist and you start hating on other players. Hey, LeBron's never done this. But now, Natalie, if LeBron's a warrior, you can't hate on him. You can't hate on him. He's a warrior, especially if he wins the championship.
Natalie, I don't even need Natalie to say anything. The look on Natalie's face when we brought her in to FaceTime said it all. Said it all. Because when I saw this story, I was like, I know Natalie has to be relieved. I know she had to be sickened. So I know she agrees with me. The look on her face said that she agreed with me, that she is thankful that this did not happen.
It was nasty. It was nasty. I was like really
Nasty.
disgusted when I saw it.
What
Like
do you
it
mean nasty?
was one of the most disgusting things I've ever read.
Oh,
I was
stop it, y'all.
No, I'm
What?
not. It
Why?
was disgusting.
Why?
And immediately, other people I know like were texting me. Like my phone started blowing up. For one, and I go a little bit further than Mike. I am an old school NBA person. I don't like all this buddy shit. So while I'm not opposed to people switching teams, I remember back in the All-Star game some years ago when it was like the big
Natalie,
three
you're
Celtics.
21 years old. What you talking about?
Whatever. I remember that All-Star game. They were there, the four Celtics. They were in their little silo. They wasn't trying to fool anybody. It was an all-star game, and they were still like, nah. You know what I'm saying? I like that. Bring that back.
Right.
I don't like this buddy. LeBron and Steph are the faces of the NBA. They are rivals. Their fans go at each other. They have no business ever playing on a team together. It's better for the NBA. Those ratings are better when they come on and they play against each other and go to multiple overtime games. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see them playing together. It is nasty. Yes, and contrary to popular belief, Warriors fans are still having a hard time wrapping their heads around Chris Paul. You want them to wrap their heads around LeBron James? No.
It's different. First of all, Chris Paul, yeah, he ain't even playing. You got to work. He's just on the bench.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, I'm just mentioning because Mike earlier said Chris Paul, but I'm telling you, like, Warriors fans
but
still,
LeBron's another level.
Their stomachs still turn a little bit.
No, but I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that Warriors fans still find that weird, to have somebody they once hated now in their house. I'm not saying that. Obviously, you would know. I'm more or less saying, like, from a I'm gonna use the word, from a legacy standpoint, Chris Paul and what he was. That's okay.
For sure.
This doesn't matter. In his story, him playing with the Warriors, nobody remember this. Like, oh, yeah, he did finish with the Warriors. Like, but like LeBron as a Warrior, because like, okay, if LeBron, why you, Michael, you just trolling. You gotta be just trolling. I know. I know you are not feeling this.
It's nasty.
I don't see the problem. I really, right. I'm waiting for y'all. I'm waiting for the I see what you're saying. I enjoy it. I think it'd be great. Look,
because rivalries are great for
both,
the NBA.
Can we just be honest about where the Warriors and Lakers are right now? They're both play-in teams. So they're play-in teams, both of them. And so if you put LeBron on the Warriors are not a play-in team anymore. Now we're looking at a team that's going to I'll go old school for you. It will be like when the Rockets in their second championship, they bring in Clyde Drexler. They're a number 6 seed, and everybody's afraid of them. Rightfully so. They win a championship. You put LeBron on this play-in Warriors team at number 10, just behind the Lakers at number 9. Watch out. Entertainment. I'd love to see the ball movement. I'd love to see Steph setting up LeBron and vice versa. Oh, man, that'd be fun. I'd love to see it. Great basketball.
It would be.
First of all. And hold on. Let me cut. I'll say this, then I'm going to pass the ball to you, Natalie.
Go ahead.
Don't act like y'all above it in the Bay Area. Don't act like y'all above it.
Yes.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yes, they are.
Kevin Durant was there. Kevin Durant was there for 2 championships.
Kevin Durant had not won
He's not homegrown. He's not homegrown. Y'all beat him in the playoffs and he came to join you.
It's not about being homegrown. Steph and
What's
LeBron I know that you are not as high on Steph as you should be, Michael Holley, but Kevin Durant is not in the
top 15 player.
No, he's much higher than that. But Kevin Durant is not in the LeBron or Steph legacy conversations. He has 2 rings. He hasn't done anything without the Warriors since he left. And he's probably not going to do anything with Phoenix or anyone else ever. So, whether you consider Steph in LeBron's tier or not, Steph has 4 rings. He is still chasing his building a legacy. As Shaq has already brought up on multiple occasions, should we start talking about Steph? Not saying he's the GOAT, but should we start talking about him? LeBron and Steph have different legacy implications. They do not need to play together. They should not. And
what are those different implications?
Whether it's, okay, will he go down as the best point guard of all time? Where is he going to rank ultimately in the pantheon of NBA greats? Will he get to Rushmore, right? All these different things. He does not need to play with LeBron. Part of the lore of Michael Jordan and some of these past players is what they did, how they did it, their teams that were constructed. Why wouldn't you want to see what Steph can do? I know that you've wiped off the Warriors already, Michael Holley, and I get it because they have not been great this season. However, in their last eight of their last 11 games, they won by more than 17 points. They're above 500 now. No, literally, the team is top 5 in offense, top 10 in offense and defense.
They're in the play-in, Natalie.
Yeah, but they're in the play-in. But Michael, the play-in, they have 25 losses, and the number 5 seed has 22 losses. Like, you're saying that, it sounds bad, but the difference in where they are in the standings right now is very close. And what I'm saying is for a number of games now, not just like a few games, they have been playing much better basketball, and they've had one of the best records
playing great ball
in the NBA.
Kuminga,
right, they have one of the best records in the NBA. So
Kuminga has emerged.
Right.
I like it. They got their bench. They bench guys that have contributed. I respect that. I do not believe that the Warriors, even playing better basketball, with 30 games to play, roughly 31 games to play in the season, I do not believe they are a championship team as constructed.
Sure.
And you told me that. You told me that.
I said that at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, you said as constructed.
Things change. But it's fluid. It's fluid, right? It moves. Things change.
But I think they would be two things. I think they'd be a championship team with LeBron James, depending on what they gave up. And then secondly, you're talking about legacy.
I disagree.
So all those things that you mentioned, okay, but all those things that you mentioned, LeBron already has. So LeBron is already considered top 5 all time. He's considered, behind Jordan, but 2, 3, second or third best player of all time in a lot of circles. So you think Steph playing with LeBron depresses Steph? It keeps him out of that conversation? It doesn't help him? It hurts him?
Look at how Kevin Durant was held against Stephen Curry. Look at how not winning a final MVP was held against him, even though we know that Andre Iguodala
But he wrote that, but that's done.
Right?
But he answered those questions.
It does. Because LeBron is treated differently than Stephen Curry. He is.
But Natalie, that might have been the case, but I think we've evolved as a society to understand.
We haven't, though. I know you keep saying that, but we haven't.
When it comes to Durant versus Steph, you just said, look at how Kevin Durant in those championships was held against Steph. You don't think people have wised up to who really was the driving force behind those teams? I think generally people have wised up to the reality of Steph Curry having always been the driving force behind this Warriors dynasty.
I think you have. I don't think, not you, because you already kind of thought that, but I think you're giving people more credit.
See, it felt like people were more holding it against Kevin Durant, which you just said a second ago, which is why did he leave the Warriors and what has he done apart from the Warriors? That's the sentiment that, again, my casual observation seems to be more prevalent. The other thing you said,
you always gonna have, and also y'all, you always gonna have internet soldiers fighting. you can't impress everybody.
Right. There's
gonna be some people out there be like, "Oh, Steph ain't."
Internet. It's not just internet.
But who are they? Who?
It's media. It's people who do shows just like us, who talk day to day. It's if you talk to people behind the scenes. It's not. I'm not making this up. It's real, and there is.
But I know I'm saying this. But how? I know it's real, but how? But what media members? Okay, what? Maybe they don't deserve your attention or ours. Do they know what they're talking about in general?
The point is, it doesn't benefit Steph.
They might
it
be.
Doesn't hurt.
They might be.
LeBron,
they might be lightweight nobodies if they don't understand what Steph Curry means historically to the game of basketball. They might be nobodies.
So wait. So
or
okay,
misinformed.
but setting that aside though. But this is the thing this is where we part company, Natalie. I just don't think it would be as fun. I think it'd be formidable. I think they're too good and too resourceful and too versatile for a hypothetical pairing between these two to not be formidable. Obviously, whatever the Warriors hypothetically would have had to give up, notwithstanding. You know what I mean? Like, who knows what the team would have looked like after they acquired LeBron James. Thankfully, they didn't get that far down the road. They'd be formidable, but not fun. And what I mean by not fun is not that I don't think it would have tarnished either of their legacies. I think who LeBron James is and has been as a player and who Steph Curry is and has been as a player is airtight, ironclad. Now it's just them adding to it. I don't know that a pairing would have tarnished either of their legacies. I think it would have just been a bad look. It would not have been fun for me as a fan to watch these two rivals, even if they don't hate each other. Like you said, like the story of the NBA for the last umpteen years has been their battles against each other, has been their pursuit, their parallel pursuit of GOAT status. You know what I mean? Like, to see them team up, like, that wouldn't have been any fun. Like, that's just, I'm the type of person, Michael, we talked about this. I take the hard teams on Madden and rebuild them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to trade for all the first, like, I'm not looking for, we used to call that comp on the playground. I don't know we used to call it comp. When somebody would have a bunch of skeeters on their team, Michael, and they're like, nah, man, y'all can't have that. You can't have Steph and LeBron playing together. That's just unfair for everybody else. That's why I wouldn't like it. But I wouldn't go so far as to say it would tarnish either their legacies, Natalie, because I think their legacies are that undeniable, both of them. Like, they don't need each other, which is why it's nasty. I love your word. It's right. It's nasty because they don't need to do this. They don't need to do this. At this point.
But I brought up the legacy stuff because, like Michael Holley said, like, people will have to start thinking, and what if they win 5? It will have no negative impact at all on LeBron James. It will affect.
I
Steph.
think it
and
would.
Steph,
so I know that you're one of those
okay.
people. You're one of those people who thinks that there's a double standard when it comes to how LeBron is discussed and how Steph is discussed.
There is.
I understand. Okay. I don't necessarily agree, but I'm not going to argue with you. What I will argue with, as I give it back to you, I just want to interject, not interrupt, is that this will be I can't believe we go down this rabbit hole for something that didn't happen. This is fun, though. Remember when LeBron went to Miami, okay? And I remember how I felt. This is when I was less evolved. I said, when LeBron went to Miami, he is like Akeem on the subway and coming to America. He must renounce his throne because he was going to join Dwayne Wade's team. If he went to the Warriors and joined Steph Curry's team, he would get roasted, Natalie. LeBron would get roasted.
But I don't know. Maybe. I think
LeBron
LeBron
is that much of a pass?
I do. I don't even think it's a pass. I just think that, like Michael Holley said, that LeBron is in a place now, many consider him only second to Jordan. Some consider him the GOAT, right? You sort of talked about this the other day with the Patrick Mahomes conversation, right? I don't think there's really anything that can hurt him. But contrary to Michael Holley's belief, I don't think Steph is done yet, meaning I don't know that this year's Warriors are going to do anything, but Steph is still at the peak of his powers. They can still make changes this offseason, and his legacy is still building, right? Like we debated earlier before, him versus Magic. Many people consider Magic a top 5 player. So if you elevate Steph above Magic, then what are you saying about Steph, right? There's still conversations to be had about where Steph finishes. With LeBron, it's like you're either going to consider him the GOAT, or for many, he's number 2. So there's not much that's going to change him, but there's still Steph's legacy is still being crafted. And that's why I think they should not, in addition to the fact that, like, I like rivalries, all of these things are better for the NBA.
So selfishly, Steph, you think Steph has more to lose than to gain, is what I'm saying.
You know what?
I think a lot of people would say that. A lot of people who I think are around the Warriors, cover the Warriors, know them. And there's a lot of people who, like Michael Holley, would love to see this. There are a lot of people who would. So I'm not saying, because people talk about it all the time. Yes, because when they were in the All-Star game together, people were like, "Oh my God, just imagine." So there are people who
you don't want to see great players play together. You don't want to see
Steph and LeBron play together. Not those two.
I would not have wanted to see Magic and Bird play together. I would not have wanted to see Jordan and Isaiah play together. I would not have wanted to see Shaq and Olajuwon play together. I would not have wanted to see Russell and Chamberlain play together. These are the types of Titans. This is a clash.
Y'all so old.
I'm old enough to have seen the original Clash of the Titans.
Who's in here?
First time I've been called old on this show. First time I've been called old.
You Generation Xers. You Generation Xers. I don't know what to do with y'all. The old. Hang out with the millennials and the Gen Zs. Look, it's just different.
This is foul.
It's different. It's just really a different time. And Natalie, it sounds like you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong here, it sounds like you're saying you don't want anybody messing with the legacy path that Steph is on. And that you think that it's not just Steph winning another championship, it's winning another championship with LeBron. Everybody can't be on the bus. There are certain people on the bus that will mess up Steph's legacy path. And maybe LeBron is the only guy who would mess that up. LeBron or, I don't know, Giannis, another big-time star would take away some of the shine and focus
I don't think it'd have been anybody else. I think LeBron. I think LeBron
it's just
is
LeBron.
unique. If Giannis would have gone to the Warriors, it wouldn't be the same type of stories. If LeBron, it's just different because LeBron, right, Natalie?
Yeah, and it's not, to me, it's not like really a selfish thing. I've been out fighting in these streets for a long time, so I already know where the narratives would go and things like that. I could be wrong, but I just think it is to his benefit.
I think you're scarred from these fights now.
I may be scarred, but I think
the battles have worn on you, Natalie.
I don't think I'm out of touch because I have these conversations behind the scenes with people who cover the Warriors very closely, and they tell me sometimes they're debating these kinds of things, and people will say, "Oh, you just cover the team, so you're biased. You don't get it right," and they recognize.
Y'all debating with the wrong. Michael's right about that. Y'all are debating with the wrong people. I want to ask you this though: what is really going on here, though? What is really going on? Like the whole idea of like Draymond, like, you know, the whole clutch sports incestuous aspect of it. You know what I mean? Like what's really going on where it's like, no, for sure. They're colleagues, not even buddies. They're colleagues. They're partners. Yeah. But what's really going on here? Like, where did this come from? What is the motivation? What is the underlying agenda here on everybody's part? Whether it's LeBron, who always got a hidden agenda, whether it's the Warriors. I mean, this was next level, literally next level. This wasn't players getting together in the Hamptons. This was ownership reportedly discussing this.
Ownership.
What's really going on here?
But Draymond was sending messages and texts as well. Again.
No, right. No, I'm saying it wasn't just that. It was this escalated all the way to the highest levels. What's really going on with, you know, one dynasty and one individual dynasty?
I think the Warriors have this thing because they're very, and I get it, I guess. They are already spending a lot of money on their roster. So they're just not willing to spend money unless it's a certain player, right? Caliber, name, like something. And I guess that they believe LeBron is that guy. And maybe with the Draymond connection, they thought it could happen. And I will just say, like you said, Michael, there's always more behind the story than we know. LeBron James in the past has said things, just like the way he said he wants to play with the Banana Boat crew. He's also mentioned like, oh, it'd be cool if I could play with Steph one day. You know what I'm saying? So he's put this out there before. It's not like something he hasn't expressed. And so, you know, you take your shot.
Than an ambition.
Right.
You know, but like, it'd be great to play with him. He's awesome, but not really, you know?
I don't think either one of them actually really want to play with each other, but you know, who knows? Maybe they do. I don't think that something like this could go through without both Steph and LeBron being on board with it. But either way, it didn't happen. I'm happy. I'm thankful. Like you said, Michael, I was so disgusted. The face that you saw represented how I felt. I don't know what Draymond's angle is, except that LeBron is his buddy. In this way, we don't have to hear him every time LeBron does something like going on and on about him, because now LeBron would be on his team. But yeah, I'm so happy this didn't happen. Like, I'm so happy it didn't happen.
To your point about Steph and like, you know, nothing would happen without his sign off. It's like, if I'm Steph, like, yeah, I love LeBron at a distance. Like it's like somebody being a friend but then being a lover. Like, nah, man, like we ain't meant to be in a relationship together. We can be cool, but being together, being married, sharing living space, no, I can only take, like, I think if I'm Steph Curry, especially after the Kevin Durant experience, I don't want nobody else. As egoless as Steph Curry is, he's still got an ego. Relatively speaking, his might not be as big and out front, but he's still got an ego. And that's his organization. And like LeBron James coming in, nah, man, dog, stop sleeping on my couch. Like, That's not how I keep my house. Like, no, like stop writing we don't write our names on shit in the refrigerator around here. Like, no, like put the toilet seat, like all that, like, no, I don't want a roommate. I do not want a roommate. No.
Yeah, and stop with the tweets. Stop with the tweets and subtweets.
Right.
Stop with that. Okay?
No.
I got to answer that. I got to answer for you. I'm tired of it. But Steph has said this before. Remember when LeBron, this was a couple of years ago, when LeBron is raving about, Steph, man, you got to guard him coming off the bus. I mean, he's unbelievable, hands down, greatest shooter. And they asked Steph about playing with LeBron, and Steph was like, I'm good. I mean, we're good.
Right.
In other words, nah, I don't want that. I know Steph wouldn't want it. LeBron clearly wouldn't want it. But as a fan, I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it, Natalie.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I don't.
But one last thing I want to say really quick.
Natalie, Michael just this is Michael doing this for just effect. He's just taking the other side. He's just taking the other side. That's what Michael's doing.
Do you guys remember back in the day?
I promise you.
You guys remember back in the day with Magic and Isaiah, how Isaiah talked about like how it was all good with Magic, all the praise, everything, until Isaiah kind of started to challenge Magic. I mean, he didn't really challenge him, but the Pistons got a couple of championships, all of that.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with Bron and Steph, right? Like Bron went to Davidson to watch Steph play.
Right, he was cute.
You were giving my point guard Ezzies. Right.
Until he was a threat to
him. And so their relationship is no matter what you see of them on the face in public, where it's like,
it's complicated.
It does. Yeah. It does not need to go down.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Natalie, thank you. Enjoy happy hour in your all-purpose dress. She came out
like
glittering.
my outfit.
I know, I do. It's just too high class for this program. Like, I hope,
that's right.
Like, you gotta.
We kind of chilling. You took it to it. You went to another level.
You went to two. Yeah. I felt like I had to bring it a little bit, especially because I really liked the NBA on the NBC hat yesterday. So while it's a little flashier, I just felt like the fit. And Michael Holley, I don't know if you saw, we did his best fits of last week. We posted them and we had people vote on them. So I just felt like I had to bring
best fits? You bought it like that?
Yes.
You bought it like that in Vegas, Michael? Oh, okay.
He did. He had the linen, and then he had another day with like the jacket. He had like a few different. Yeah, he had salmon going on.
Do y'all have outfits? Do y'all have outfits y'all save? Or is that just me with my poor mentality? Like, y'all have outfits y'all set aside? Like, you know what? I'm going to wear that on a special occasion, and that special occasion may not come, but, I'm going to save that. Like,
you got one for Easter?
You got a date night dress.
You got your Easter suit?
That looked like a date night dress. Wait, date night? What I miss? Wait, hold on. What I miss?
I'm just saying. I just got a date night dress that I'm wearing.
Okay. Hypothetically?
That's all I'm saying. You don't need to know anymore.
I like it.
You don't need to know.
Hypothetically. It's like hypothetically.
Let's put that on
hypothetically like LeBron, the Warriors, hypothetically.
Let's put that out there.
Are you
it is a great dress,
something?
and I'm holding it because it has to be a special date night. It can't just be regular date night, So yes.
All right. Okay. Well, that one you got on now that's a tough act to follow. That date night dress in the back of your closet.
Thank you, Michael.
Looking like you out of the Supremes.
Both of you.
Dream girl. All right. I'll see y'all later.
All right. Mike, Natalie, see you. Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.